Hi, everybody. This is Jamil. It's nice to meet you if you don't know me yet. I'm here in our office in São Paulo, Brazil. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. And I have a quick presentation here just to guide you us through the session. I have a few topics that I want to cover. But most importantly, I want this to be as interactive as possible. I want to respond to questions that may arise during our session. And also, my goal is to have like this session happening weekly. So most likely every Thursday, I want to have this session. And my end goal here is to make sure that you know how to use the platform, you know how to make the best usage of BWX, you know how to use AI, you learn more about our technology, you learn more about how AI, how BWX can make your work even more efficient. So that's our main goals in here. And this session is for you. So again, if you have questions, please just send me a message here on the chat, and I will pause and try to respond to the questions as quickly as possible. And to get things started, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Um, all right, so let me open my presentation here in a separate window. There we go. All right, hope that you all can see it already. Again, just a quick presentation. So I have just 4 slides here just to guide us through the session. I promise that I will not bore you with a lot of text. So again, I want to make this as interactive as possible. And just to get things started, so I just write this title in here. So and the goal here is to show you, and then of course you tell me after the session if you agree with me that BWX can make content translation funnier and more productive. And I will explain why I just write that title that way. But again, for me, the most important thing is that that's just how I see it. That's just maybe just my opinion. And in the end, I want to hear you. I want to hear what you think about that, and not only about that, but about the platform as well, the features they have, the opportunities that we have with the platform, and also as part of this session, the next sessions as well. I want to hear your feedback, and also if you have questions, for instance, maybe you do not start using our platform yet, but hopefully you subscribe to it after the session. By the way, it's a 14 days free trial with no credit card required. So, and maybe for the next session, some questions will arise, and I'll be happy to address those questions, and also to, again, to address any other topics that may arise during the session, or maybe during the follow-up sessions that we will have. So again, so this is just the first session, and I want to make sure that we all are learning with each other. And I want you, if you are a translator, if you're a reviewer, if you're a project manager or someone involved with content translation, that we are hearing you. And again, that session is created and presented trying to address or trying to respond or try to teach you something that will cause a good impact on how you use BWX, how you use technology, maybe the way that you see AI applied to the localization of the content. And yeah, that's pretty much it. To get things started, again, just introduce myself real quick. So I'm Jamil. I'm the Director of Product and Operations here at BWorks. I've been working here for the past 11 years, almost. So 10 years and 10 months, so almost 11. I have worked as project manager, as a project manager team lead as well. Then I started working more closely to the clients as part of our customer success team. I evolved to head of operations. Then I started working even more close to our product or technology and as a head of product. And then I became the director of product and operations. Again, today's session is focused on the platform, focused on how you can make the best use of it. I'm by no means a translation specialist. I'm not a translator. I'm not a reviewer. So you are the specialist. And again, that's why I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear your questions about the platform. And hopefully, I can maybe teach you something, not about translation, but maybe about how to use AI in your content, how to use BWX to make more money, how to be faster, how to focus on the things that really matter for the end client. And that's what I want to share with you. All right. So that was real quick my background. So I have again been in this industry for 11 years. So I want to share with you some knowledge about our platform, our technology in general, and also again to hear and respond to your questions. So first things first, I will start to reading this that I just wrote a few days ago because this is something that I truly believe, and that's how we are evolving our platform when it comes to AI or large language models in general. So it's not about replacing humans with AI, but about learning how to use the tools we have at our disposal to make humans even more efficient at what they do. So BWX is a platform, but we can say that BWX is a tool. It's a tool that will help you to make more. And when I say more, it can be more money, it can be more words per day, it can be more funnier, it can be more productive, it can be anything. But again, BWX can be considered a tool. So it's just a way, something that's going to help you to go from point A to point B. And of course, the platform is pretty complex, but I'm putting just a simplified way. But you, as a translator, or someone that's translating content, managing content, that's the first thing that I would like to establish with you. So the platform have a lot of automation. The platform can really improve the way that things are structured, can really help you to organize your projects, your translations, your translation memories, and so on. But the platform automations and everything, it depends on how you organize it and everything, how you structure everything, how you set up all that. So, and then as a tool, the platform can help you with that. So to do that, you need to know how it works, right? So that's, again, one of the things that I want to share with you. But yeah, that's the first thing that I would like to, to establish here is that the platform can be considered as a tool that will help you to reach your goals, either delivering content faster or in time, hopefully, or improving the quality of the deliverables that you're providing to your clients. All right. So again, today's agenda, I'm probably going to follow these topics here, but if you have questions that are not directly related to it, I'm going to try to respond to those questions when it makes sense. But let's start to talk about real quick about the topics here. So the first thing, again, of course, I'm going to show you how to create your account and how to start exploring your BWX account, how to create a project, and just a quick pause here to explain why that. Because if you are a translator, if you are an individual, or even a company that is subscribing to BWX, so you have to create your project so you can start working on it. So that's one use case. Like for translators, if you're a translator and you subscribe to BWX, you're going to have your own account where you can manage your own projects from multiple clients that you work with. But the first step, again, would be to create this project. That's why I'm going to cover this piece real quick. And I can go really deep into that in maybe the next sessions. But today I just want to show you how to create a project and get things started. So then you can start working on the translation of the content. And the other use case that's also one that's pretty common is that a translator that maybe already used the platform because they work for maybe a translation agency that requires them to use BWX to translate their content. And again, in the end, the goal will be the same here. I want to teach teach you how to use the platform to make the most of it, to get used to all the tools we have and all the features we have in the platform. But again, for people that are just receiving jobs, the first piece may not applicable until you became, hopefully, BWX subscriber and create your own accounts where you can manage the projects from your multiple clients. All right, let me switch here my window real quick so I can see if there are any questions. Hi, Claudia. Nice to meet you. All right, so let me go back to my presentation and start talking about this. So creating and exploring your BWX account. So first things first, as I mentioned previously already. So you access this website. By the way, I'm going to share you the link and also this presentation after the session. By the way, the session is being recorded and will also be available for you or for anyone that may be interested and can learn something from this presentation here. So you go to bitworks.com/pricing. So you go to this screen and then you have the option to subscribe yearly or monthly. And then you have the different plans. Again, since I'm talking about more the solo plan or the translator plan, that's probably the one that you're going to select. But if you have a team of translators that you work with, or maybe if you're a project manager or someone that manage a team that works with content translation, you may want to check the boutique or clockwork or even the content plan. All right, so on this screen, you can get started for free here. You enter your name and your email address, then you click on get started. So you're going to receive an email, you're going to set up your password. Once you set up your password, you can access our platform. That is app.bwx.io. That will lead you to the home screen. So actually the login screen. So when you enter your email address and your password, and then you'll be right in here, like I'm showing right now. All right, so just a quick note. So this is our demo environment. This is not app.bwx.io, just to mention that. So I have a lot of test projects in here. Your account, when you create it, of course, you'll be empty, except that you already have some one translation memory and one glossary. And then, of course, you can always go in there and open those assets and make edits. So I do not translate into those languages. I translate into other languages. I can go in here and make changes to it, or I can remove language as well, and then save it. The same is applicable for the translation memories. I want to change the name. I want to change the language combination, or I want to create another translation memory or another glossary. Feel free to do so. We just create the first ones just to help you to skip that part so you can go to the fun part, in my opinion. That's creating the project, approving it, and then starting translating the content. All right. So again, as I mentioned, Bitworks is complex in a good way, in my opinion. But especially at the beginning, it can be really difficult or cumbersome for some people to understand all these concepts here. And by the end of the session, I want to hear your comments on what you would like to see in the next session. Maybe I can talk about all those assets and features we have in here for the next session. But for now, I'm going to stick to the project creation piece. All right, so from the home screen, you can start a new project. You're going to go to projects, new project, and start creating your projects. You can either drag and drop files in here, or you can go to your computer and upload one or multiple files from a given client. The file is going to be uploaded. There are a few options here. You can maybe, you want to translate hidden text because your client told you that that's required, or they want the document proper to be translated. Anyway, so those are more advanced options, but that's available. And of course, that's different depending on the file type. For instance, for Excel file, you want to translate or not the tab names. So just an example. All right, so upload just one docx file. I'm going to continue. Then the organization unit, I just have one in this in my account. So this is the BWX training unit. So that can be used as a template. For instance, if you have multiple clients that you translate content in BWX, you can select them. Okay, so this content was requested by client A, so I'm going to select their organizational unit. That's important because by selecting the right organization unit, what happens is that automatically, if we already set up that previously, the default source and target language will be automatically selected here, as you can see. And of course, I can always override that if that's for that particular project. Some languages are not required, for instance. But that also automatically selects translation memos in the glossary and the price list that you use for that particular client, because you may have different price lists for different clients. Anyway, so, and most importantly, you have to give a name to the project. So this is workshop one project. All right, so this is the project name. So I highly recommend you to give a name that in the future, when you need to search for that project, will help you to find it easily. It can be like a code, or it can be the name of the file, anything that can really help you to find that project and not, and make sure that you're going to be able to know exactly which project you are looking for. All right, and then in this workflow step, I'm not going to touch here, but you can, again, if you have multiple files, you can select or remove links for specific files or workflow steps for different files. I'm just going to create with translation review for the sake of the session. Project will be created, files will be processed, the automation is in progress. So this automation will basically calculate number of words on those files and will multiply by the cost I have in the price list for each language. Of course, if you translate just into one language, it will be just one language in here, but you can see the full breakdown in here. So in this case, I have 517 words from English into French, and these are the costs for each language. Of course, this is the dynamic price list, but you can see that, for instance, Portuguese Brazil, the new word, as we call the 0 to 49% or 0 to 24%, or anything similar to that, is higher than the others in here, right? All right, so the costs, let's say that I review the cost looks good, I want to show my content. Okay, so let's approve this project. By the way, if again, just going back to what I mentioned previously, so if you are receiving content from a translation agency, that you're not going to have to do all these steps. So the project will be already available, created, and prove it. So you're just receiving the tasks that have been assigned to you. All right. So this is for someone who just created an account and is trying to approve the project to get things started in WX. All right. So two things. If you are a solo translator and you have your own account, you most likely you can just go in here. Okay, so I'm going to translate this file into Portuguese. I can just click on it and open the editor and start translating the content. If you are receiving content to the agents, just so you can have like visibility on what happens, is that they are going to filter the content by that language pair and the workflow step, and they're going to assign this content. Okay, so who is responsible for this content? So is this Portuguese vendor training user here? So this is the translator responsible for that. And again, if you don't have your own account, what happens is that when this gets assigned to you is when you're going to have content in your dashboard, which I'm going to show in a second for you. All right. Okay, so we cover these two pieces first. I'm going to touch on this one real quick because that may be activated on, for you or may not be activated, depends on the clients, on the translation agency that's incumbent to you. But let me just impersonate now my Portuguese vendor training user so I can show you how that looks like from a vendor perspective. So first thing that you notice that on the left side, you don't have all that options now, because again, you are what you call vendor. You have the vendor role in the platform, which can be used for translators, for reviewer, any person who is performing translation or design tasks in the tasks that have been assigned to you. The other one is the account admin. So when you create your own accounts, you became an account. It means that you have full access to everything within your account. So what I mentioned about alt test placement notifications, again, just a pause here. That the first thing there is you may or may not have that available for you in our home dashboard, and you can see on top of your screen as soon as you access the platform, if that's activated for your from the translation agency end. And what that does is basically if you have the right rate for that language combination, which matches with they can afford to pay you for that, and also the quality score is good, and they can define what's good, what's not good, you're going to receive this offer. So as soon as a project gets approved in the platform, if you are eligible, you're going to see it in here. So for instance, my user here, my dummy user, is eligible for all these projects from English into Portuguese, of course, because I also have to have that language pair in my profile as well. And then as a translator for a translation agency, I can go in here, I can review you can see the preview of the document to see if something that I'm a specialist at or I know something about that, and I feel confident translating the content. I can see the number of words in here. I can say, okay, so yeah, I want that. I want to translate this content. So there are a few check marks that you have to click in here, or can just select all after reading and accepting them. You click on got it, and that will trigger the project acceptance in here. So as soon as I do that, what happens is that that project, that task that was being offered maybe to multiple linguists is now yours. So you can start working on it right away, right? So that's one possibility. The other possibility is that the translation agency is assigning you directly. So you are the translator for this task, right? So in that case, those tasks that are assigned directly to you will be available here right away. So you don't have to accept them. This auto task placement is when they are offering, most likely to multiple translators. So the first one who accept that's eligible and accept that will be the one that's going to picking up that task. All right, so now going back to the task that I just accepted, I can see here that signed, the date status delayed. Just that's my fault because I created with the wrong due dates, as you can see. So it's in April, but again, for the sake of this session, that's not important. I can see the program, so there's nothing confirming this file, and now I can open it and start translating the content. Before I go into that, just one thing that I want to show you real quick, because some people ask about it. What happens if you have multiple files? You can just select all of them, or maybe just some of them, and then you can join editor. What happens in here is that, for instance, this first file, this Excel file, has segments. If you keep translating the content and screwing all, eventually you're going to move into the second file, which is XML file and so on. So all those 4 files that you just joined will be available here, so you don't have to open one and then another and then another one. Another thing that's cool, just because I just saw this, is this alert here. This means that if there are instructions for you or reference files, you know that. So you'll be informed visually that the client added instructions here for you or added reference files that you probably want to read that or download that reference file so you can use that while you are creating the content for them. Alrighty? Okay, so let me close this and go back to the initial file that I accepted. Let me just go back to the chat here to see if anyone has any questions. All right. If you have questions, please send my way. Let me continue here. Okay. So next step is acceptance test, which I just covered. And now I'm going to this a quick overview of the editor. And again, as I mentioned, I want to have you bored. I'm going to have these two other topics, the three other topics that are, I'm going to talk about the concepts and how that work. And then we're going to put our hands on the content. So perform this exercise where we're going to actually translate and review content so you can see how that works in the platform. But again, I think that's important for us to establish some concepts and how things work before we dig into the practice. All right. Okay, so going back here into my editor, again, I'm going to just give you a quick overview. So first thing, this is a docx file, but I know that this file is from our website, and it could be from any website. I can go in here knowing that. I can enter the website link. So in this case, again, as I mentioned, it's our website. So bitworks.com. I can click on go. And then if I can also maximize this, I can open a separate window. Oh, by the way, just so you know where I changed that, you can click on this button here, the 3 points in here, and then click on web preview. Or again, if I prefer to see the doc preview, because this is again a Word file, a docx file, I can just go back in here. All right, and also I can open a separate window just mentioned. So what happens here is that while I'm translating the content and confirming those segments, I can apply the targets, which is applying the translation. So what this does is it does a best attempt to match the content we have in this Word document with the content we have on our website. And if it, excuse me, if it can match the content we have in here and also on our website, it's going to replace with the translation. So as you can see, the content is English in here, in the source, and I translate it into Portuguese, and then the content, the translation was applied in here, right? So again, this is our website, but you can try it out with other websites if the content that you receive from the translation agency is from a different website. And this, of course, this website has to be publicly accessible. That's the requirement for you to be able to preview the content with the all right, so for now, let me just hide the preview so you can see this full screen. All right, so now going to the options we have on screen real quick, but I think that this is important because I also hear a lot of questions about it. So on top right, you have this help button. It's not really hidden, but sometimes people don't see it here. And I know that this makes a huge difference for translators in general. So we have a lot of shortcuts here. You can confirm segments, and you can cut tags, you can cut content, you can add the non-breaking space in here. So there's a lot of options here that can make your translate the content even faster. And they are all available here on the top right. Now, on the left side, you have the file name, you have the language combination, the workflow step, you have a progress bar. You can also see the number of words, segments, and chars for all the files in here. If you have multiple files, which I just showed previously, you can see that file by scrolling down and going to the next file. First tab here on the right is the comments tab. So you can add comments, even private. So private means that this only you can see it. So it's just a note for me to remember why I choose this translation, for instance. So you just want to remember yourself for some reason why you did that, or maybe you want to remember yourself that you want to review this again. And you are not going to confirm the segment. So only you can see that, right? So the client cannot see that, anyone can see that. The other one is this one, which is not private, it's public. And this one you can communicate with the other translators that will be working on the next workflow step. So if you're a translator, you can add a comment here so the reviewer or the encounter reviewer, anyone who works on that content, will be able to see it. So I choose using this term instead of the term in the glossary because of blah, 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 right? So he or she will know why you did that. And they can, of course, respond to your comment here. And also to communicate something to the project manager. So should I follow the glossary in this context or not? Because the glossary was created originally for marketing content. This is not marketing content. This is healthcare content. So, right. So any kind of questions that you have or any comments you have you want to share, then you understand that's important to share with the project manager. Instead of sending an email, you can just add it in here and you'll be notified by that you add a comment to the editor, right? Okay, so next up is one which we're going to probably spend most of your time while you are translating content with this suggestion tab. Because here you can see translation memory suggestions, machine translation suggestions, glossary suggestions. You can also ask AI to translate content, which I'm going to explain in a few minutes. And so again, so that's probably where you're going to spend most of the time while you are going through the segments and confirming the translation. Next up, instructions, as I mentioned. So in this one, I don't have any instructions or files. That's why I don't have the alert here. But if I did have, it was going to have an alert. So I was, that to make sure that I know about that. QA issues, the classic, let's say, but we have quite a lot of QA items that you can check. So double space, double words, glossary mismatch, no breaking space mismatch, tag mismatch. So you have a lot of options. One thing that's cool also I think that's important to mention is that, oh, I'm going to talk about my personal experience. So most of the time when I use the platform, again, I'm not a linguist, I'm not a specialist in translation, but sometimes I have to act as kind of as a project manager. So most of the times what I do is to check for tags mismatch because tags can literally break the files. So if you that does not happen 1% of the time, but most of the time you want to keep the tag as it is in the target, in the translation, because maybe in the system where that file is going to be uploaded back, if the tag is not there, it's not going to allow the content to be re-uploaded or going to break the system or anything, right? So again, most of the times, unless you know for sure that that tag is not applicable, that should not be there, my recommendation is to always make sure that tags are kept intact. And we have an alert for that, and we're also going to show that in a few minutes. But one thing that's important, for at least for my example in here, is that I don't want to open this every time and have to unselect all these check marks and then apply to a specific tag. So I can just save this filter here. So tags only. Just an example again. Of course, you can add other tag filters as well. And now, every time, let me just run this. Okay, there are no tag mismatch for now at least. But if I open here, or maybe if I close this file, or maybe if I open a different file, I can just click in here and then just click on this tags only, because that will select automatically just these filters that I previously selected, and then I can just apply. Again, just small things, but I know for someone who is translating content for hours a day and thousands of segments, I know that this little difference can create a huge impact. As like using the save settings for the QA checks, having the shortcuts available. So I know that this makes a huge difference. Next one is search translation memory. One thing that's important, so you are searching specifically for the content, the translation memories that are available for this project. Why I'm saying that? Because you may work with clients that have, again, multiple departments, and maybe they have multiple translation memories. So you have, again, a marketing translation memory and a healthcare or legal translation memory. If this project is healthcare, maybe or most likely the marketing translation memory will not be available for it because it just does not make much sense in general. So if you search in here and just the healthcare translation memories associated with this project, you're not going to be able to search from here in the marketing translation memory. Again, just an example, that should not be a problem at all. The project that you receive should already have the translation memories that are relevant for them. But I just think that's important to mention that because sometimes you may search for something that you know that's available in the translation memory, but that particular translation memory may not be available for that. The same is applicable for glossaries, exact same concept. You can search for terms in the glossaries that are associated with this particular project that you are currently translating. Filters, you can filter by source of target content. You have a lot of metadata in here. For instance, I just want to see not confirmed segments, not logged segments, segments with comments, or with translation memories matches. And I also can select which segments translation match that I want to see, the threshold. Oh, I just want to see segments which have translation memory matches that are 99% or above or something. All right. And another one here is find and replace. So you can find and replace content in the target. We cannot edit the segment, the source segment, just so you know. So this is only applicable for target, and then you can select key sensitive, matchable words, replace just one of the entries or all the entries. Next up is translation change. You can see any change that have been made to a given segment. So for instance, if you make any change in here, literally any change, I remove this, and I go back, it's going to store that. Again, I don't even have to confirm that segment. It's just like a little track change for you. So you can see exactly what has been done to that segment. So the segment was pre-translated. The segment was changed by the project manager. The segment was changed by someone else. So you'll be able to see the settings. One thing that's important, just to mention right away, you can enable or disable. By default, it is if that's activated for the translation agency that you're working with, or if you have your own account and you activate for the accounts the AI usage, that's going to be activated. But by default, again, if the AI is not activated, that's going to be inactivated as well. Why am I saying that? Because again, you can, if that's enabled, you can go here and disable. Oh, okay, so I don't want to use translation as mouse because of something, or AI translation, or I don't want to have the segments with spell check because I prefer translations now. That's more complete, that's more helpful. Okay, so you can change that. But before making those decisions, again, I want to share with you some knowledge behind all that, and I do that in a minute. Before that, you can change here some parameters like line versus columns. You can see the key. So some files does have like keys. So this one does not have, but usually like stricter files, JSON, XLIF files. So you can see the keys, white spaces. So like this. So you can see like whenever there's a white space, you can see this blue space in here. Reactive segments. So this is helpful for some features we use. I can cover that in a separate session in the future as well. Expanded tags. So this file is a Word document, so it does not have tags, but maybe let me see if this XML file has tags, so I can show you exactly what it does. Does not have. Maybe this one. All right, so it does literally this. So it shows exactly which content, what kind of content we have within the tag. Again, so this one, there's no like exact meaning on this content, but I know for sure that this is not translated, right? But some files does have like the tags which tells you that that's a bold or italic, and that helps you to know, okay, so which content is being locked in here within those tags. So that's what that option does. So if I close this, I'm going to be shown like this, 1, 2, 1, 2. So then I can expand that. So I can, again, make decisions when it's applicable. I can change to night modes, and I can change also the font setting. And finally, you can, if the client uploads a PDF file to the project, you can then ask you to review it. You can add some markup. So, okay, change this by that, change here this word, break this line here, and etc. All right, so let me go back to the other window to see if anyone has any questions. Okay, catering. Where can I open? Okay, you saw it already. Question from catering as well. How do I add the finished translation strings to the translation memory? That's a good question. So that happens automatically, catering. The first thing that's important for you to check. So again, I'm assuming that you have your own account. So you're an account admin of the platform. So let me just impersonate again the account admin account so I can show you here what you should be doing. All right, so let me open the project. Okay, so you go to the project, again, assuming that you are account admin, you go to contacts. What's important is that, okay, so this translation memory is in this project. So which language you have in this project? So let's say you're translating from English into, I don't know, Arabic. So I don't have Arabic in this translation memory, so it's not going to be stored. So that's the first thing you have to check, if the exact link combination that you are translating is available in the translation memory. The same is applicable for the glossary. Otherwise, it's not going to be stored automatically. Second thing, if it is the translation memory is also in write mode. So you have to check this box in here, in read mode as well, so you can see the suggested editor. You can, of course, if you have just one particular project, you can go to that project and activate that manually. But one thing that I recommend is going to the organization units that you have, that can be or just one. Go on the organization units, go to contacts, find the translation memories and glossaries, and then you can set them as default, read, and write. So what that does is the organization can be used, again, it can be a client, it can be a department, but one thing that it does, regardless of how you're using it, it is like a template. So now, from now on, if I just activated this, for every single project that I created, from now, this is going to be automatically default, read, and write. Again, then I still have to make sure that the language that I'm translating into are part of this translation memory. Otherwise, I can open it and add those target languages. Or again, if the source language is not applicable, then I can create a separate translation memory with the correct source language, right? Okay, perfect. Please let me know if I addressed the question properly, and if that makes sense. Otherwise, I can find another reason for that. But most likely, this should be related to one of those two. So the language is not available in the translation memory or glossary, or they are available and the translation memory or glossary are not available in the project, or they are available in the project and are not in read and write mode. Because as soon as I open the segment and confirm the translation, either by clicking on this check mark here, or pressing Command Enter or Control and Enter if you're using a Windows, it's going to be, oops, let me go back here. It's going to be stored right away in the translation memory if translation memory is activated. Maybe in this project it is not activated. Let me open again my Word document here. Let me just refresh the page. Okay. Okay, I think that this is the one. Okay, so as soon as you confirm in the segment, and the reason why this is the translation is because this is a document that you used in the previous session, but as soon as you confirm the translation, you're going to be automatic for the translation memory. So there's no like action you have to do or take. For instance, I just added a period here at the end of the sentence, and it's going to just, I don't know if you can see it properly here. Just zoom in so you can see that it is stored the update that I make to the translation memory automatically. So there's no like sync button or anything that happens on the fly. As soon as you confirm the segment, that gets stored in the translation memory automatically. Alrighty. Any other questions before I continue here? All right. Again, if you have questions, please keep sending my way. All right. So context. And let me cover this. Context, what context mean? Context means, at least in our perspective, everything that can be used by the platform, by the linguist to make a good decision and to provide a better translation for your clients. So in our context, the context means translation memory, glossaries, machine translation. So all that context for you. And of course, previous content, previous translations, reference files, anything can be used as context. So the website from that client, any instructions that they provide to you. But speaking about the platform itself and the tools we have, when we say context, we are talking about translation memory, glossary, and machine translation, which are available, as I mentioned, in this tab here. You can see here, if they're activated, of course. So you can use those. All right. And why is that important? Because the context-sensitive translation, it does exactly what I said. So the context-sensitive translation is going to check what's available in the translation memory, what's available in the machine translation, if that's activated. So in my example, there's no machine translation suggestion, which should be in blue, in the glossary. So, and then the AI or large language model or the context sensitive translation tries to match that translation available in the translation memory, the content that's available in the glossary, and suggest to you a better translation that makes more sense, a translation that's up to date accordingly, for instance, with the glossary. Because for translators, if the client sends you a file that's pretty similar to the previous one, which you translated, right? But maybe, or exactly the same. They send exactly the same content, but this time they added a new term to the glossary, which was not available previously. What happens? The content will be outdated, the translation will be outdated because it's not following the glossary, the new glossary. So, and what can be done in this case is, okay, so let me see. Okay, so fast, impeccably, de forma impecável. Let me change this. I'm going to as fast. Okay, so let me change this from velozmente to mais rápido. Okay, so the client for you change the glossary. Let's see what happens now. If you, by the way, I have to activate this again. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Okay, I just enable AI translation again. And now let me ask AI to translate. So the context sensitive translation. Let's see. Okay, so as you can see, let me just zoom in here so you can see better. The translation stored in the translation memory was traduz o dobro de forma impecável, which was literally what is written in the source here, but you or your client most likely updated their translation memory. So now when I receive this translation, if I'm using AI to help me with that update, AI is going to check the glossary, see that the translation memory suggestion is not matching with what was available in the glossary, and provide you with a translation that's up to date according to the glossary. So that's, again, a pretty simplified way. One of the things that it does, it tries to match the translation and provide you with the most the version that makes more sense right now, right? Because maybe next week they update the glossary again, and you have to update again this translation. But instead of doing that manually, AI is going to help you to adapt that translation automatically, right? Of course, as long as it is activated. And traduz o dobro mais rápido. So the smells is a semantic verifier. So basically, it's going to alert you that we may have a mistranslation here. And then in the end, you are the specialist here. You can say, okay, I agree with smells. I'm going to change to the translation that's being proposed here, which is traduza duas vezes mais rápido, or no. So I know that this is the best translation because I'm following client's glossary and because I know their use case and I know their industry, and this translation that I propose here is the best translation for this. Okay, you can just ignore the suggestion from smells because again, it's just an assistant for you. It's just a tool to help you. It's trying to alert you about something that may be right or may be or can be better. But again, in the end, you are the specialist. So I think that's important for you to keep that in mind because we're not trying to replace you or have the AI being the specialist when it comes to translating content. You are the specialist. So you are teaching AI while you are making decisions, the translations, how whenever you make a change, whenever you put it to a glossary, whenever you translate a content, whenever you confirm a segment, all that's knowledge, all that's being stored in the translation memory, in the glossary, and that context is guiding AI. So you are literally teaching AI how you understand that's the best way to translate that. And AI is trying to do the bad cop and say, okay, you are the specialist, but maybe this translation could be like this. And you can agree with AI if that makes sense. And a lot of times AI provides suggestions that really make uh, sense and was maybe something that I never think about, and maybe I can just accept it. And then next time AI is going to learn, okay, so this translation was accepted by this translator. So AI is going to try to follow that pattern. Otherwise, let's say again, you are not agreeing with AI. So AI is proposing something that does not make much sense. Okay, so what can you do as a translator? You can teach AI. How you teach AI? Again, as I mentioned, you make changes to the translations in here that's being proposed by AI. So if you don't agree with that, how you understand that's the best translation for that? Tell AI that. How you tell them? Making the changes to the segment, confirming the segment, if applicable, if you have also access to it, add terms to the glossary that can be important for that translation. And then right away in the next segment, AI will know that. So an example, let's say that post AI in here is being translated and it makes sense, right? Just to make it clear, to translate this in Portuguese to pause IA. But I don't know, maybe my client does not want that. Or I know that the competitors of this kind in this industry, they don't translate that. They always keep post AI, right? Again, just an example. I can add that to the glossary. I can teach AI that it should not be translating post AI. It should be keeping post AI as post AI. So the next translation, the next segment where I have that, AI is going to propose a translation. We should have that. We should follow what I teach the AI. And that will help you to be faster, to be more accurate with translations. And also, again, going back into the smells, let me try to find one here. And for that, maybe I should be deleting this. Let's see. Okay, so AI picked some things here. Again, but uh, my focus here is to tell you that AI is trying to help you to focus on what really matters. So you can focus your time where you can create a bigger impact to your clients. For instance, let's say that I delete this, right? I delete this parody here. And maybe I don't have AI, maybe I don't have help from AI to propose a new translation, which is already correcting that automatically. So I have to pay attention to these minor details, which are important, of course, but I could spend more time think about, okay, so how the target audience will understand what's being translated in this here. So how that's going to create an impact for the target audience in that country, for that target audience specifically, how I can make this translation sound even better, more fluent, right? So like how maybe I should spend like a few minutes here going to Google or searching or on the client materials about this concept that they're using this content here so I can provide a better translation for them. So AI again is not doing anything without you, but they can help. It can help you to focus more on those aspects that are really important. That in the end will create the bigger impact for the client. So that's the most important that I would like to share with you today. And again, there's a lot to share in the next sessions, but I just wanted to first start with this, sharing a lot of concepts, sharing the basics, how to create a project, how open the editor, what's the AI, what's context, so we can establish all that, and then we can start building from here, right? So next sessions, again, if you have any suggestions, I'm happy to hear your suggestions about what can be discussed in the next session. But my goal here was just to kick off this so we can start adding more and more and more and go deeper, deeper and deeper. And again, in the end, you are the specialist. I'm not a translator. I'm not a linguist. I'm just trying to help you to understand how you can make more and be happier, maybe, or make it be more challenging about translating content because you get at some point, at least in my perspective, where you already know how to do it. So you speak that language fluently, you translate that content, that kind of content for many, many years. And you get to a point where, again, not using my example, I get bored because I'm not being challenged anymore. So yeah, there's some clients that are have a tight turnaround time or something like that, and yeah, that can be a challenge. But for me, a challenge is how can I focus on things that make me grow, making me learn, making me think about why I'm translating this in this way, why I'm doing this in this way. Is there a way that can make this better, faster, more efficient? If there is, how can I do that? How can I achieve that? So that's again just to share with you about how I see that. And for next session, we start again now finally going through segments. And I would like to ask your help in the next session. Again, you are the specialist, so you can give me some examples how things should be translated. And I can cover multiple languages as well. We can have a Q&A session. If you have suggestions, we have a post, and I'm also going to create another post on LinkedIn where you can add suggestions for the next workshop. I'm going to read your comments in there so I can prepare the next session. And again, that's the first session only. I really want to have you in the next session as well. And most importantly, I would like you to test that. What I just showed you, I really would like to hear not only your questions, but also your feedback about the platform, about the tools we have, about BWX in general. And the best way to do that is, again, going to our website and sign up for free, 14 days free trial, and no credit scores required. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next session, and I hope you really like it. Um, okay, I just saw your question here, Alda, your comment about the categorizing changes. I the client, if you are working for a translation agency, they can deactivate that. If you are an account admin, you can also do that on your end. I can show you how in the next session, but I can. That's one of the items that I can cover the next session. If you have other items, please add a comment to the LinkedIn post, and I'll be glad to make sure that I'm going to cover these items that you have questions about, that you have suggestions about. Maybe in the next session, I can also talk about what are our plans when it comes to linguists in the platform, how we're envisioning our editor in the next few months, in the next year or so, so I can share with you how you're envisioning the future of the content translation. And of course, always hearing your comments and feedback about it, because in the end, you're the specialist, you're the one using the platform, you're the ones that spend several hours a day and a week translating content. And that's important for us because that's what That's what guides us on what can be improved and what should be improved, right? The questions, Catherine, can be submitted in our LinkedIn post. There's one about the session. You can add also on YouTube, or if you're on YouTube. But in our LinkedIn, in VideoWorks, on our page, and I'm also going to post add another post in there right after the session, or maybe tomorrow. And then you can add comments or questions in there, and I'll be glad to answer those questions directly in there, or maybe if those questions are more complex and I think that can benefit other people, I can cover that in the next session as well. All right. Again, thank you everyone for your time. It was a pleasure to be here with you all, right on time, so 1 hour. And there's so much more to cover in the next session, and I hope to see you there. And again, I would love to hear your comments and your suggestions about what you would like to see next in these workshops, and also what would be good to have in our platform, because again, we are always hearing you and trying to improve your platform every single day, every single week. All right. Take care, everyone. Again, it was a pleasure. This will be recorded and shared with everyone. And happy to see you next week.